Okay, that's cool. Hi everyone. Maxie. So I'm Claire, and Orpheus, you want to go first?
Yeah. Hey everyone. Welcome back. I'm Orpheus. I'm a poorly drawn dinosaur, and I've got my friend Claire here, who together we're gonna show off how to get your computer to draw some art for you. I'm personally not very good at drawing, being a poorly drawn dinosaur myself. And so when Claire showed me this, it blew my mind. It's super cool. Yeah. You have anything else you want to add, Claire?
So I'm Claire. I'm a high school student, and I really like art, and I also like computer science. So I'm like, why not combine the two? And it actually works. When you combine it, it works as well as you would imagine, surprisingly. And it's also much easier because you get your computer to draw for you, enslave the CPUs. And so I guess on the screen here, you can see that we have some examples of some really cool generative art that people have made. And if you go to the next slide, we can see that. Whoa, look at that. Those are some waving trees. And if you open that link, whenever you have time, you'll see that these trees are randomly generated and they look really cool. Next slide.
Yeah.
All right. So one quick thing before we get into like the actual fun is we kind of have to talk about what really goes into a piece of generative art. There's really three parts that do. There's randomness, there's algorithms, and there's geometry. Okay, I know I just said geometry, but don't run away yet. So randomness is really, really important if you want to have your art be different every single time you run the code. Makes it, well, random. Algorithms are also pretty important. It turns lines and circles and rectangles, it turns it into an actual piece of art, kind of like our brains when we decide, if I want to draw an eye, you have to draw a circle and then the pupils and then animate little sparkles. And finally, geometry. Geometry is really important and is insanely powerful. Luckily, for generative art, you really just need to know basic high school geometry. Oh, what are rectangles? How do you combine them? And how do you make it look cool? And so, yeah, so those are the three main parts of generative art. And we go to the next slide.
Yep, so let's jump into the code. If you're following along with this, we are gonna end up printing the slides out in the Discord for everyone afterwards. That being said, there's nothing like actually following along and coding with us. So please go ahead and open up hack.af /p5-sandbox. P5 is this really cool JavaScript library. If you're part of the personal website workshop yesterday, you'll remember that that JavaScript is the logic of the internet, and we're going to be using that to basically create our own art on a web page. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like. Yeah. So so for right now, you're given some starting code, and it's a little plain. You should see something like function setup, create canvas, function draw, background. And none of that will make sense right now. That's totally okay. But just to make sure that everyone has that, go ahead and I think you need to hit the run button in the top left if you don't see a gray rectangle. But this code should generate a gray rectangle. That's our masterpiece, our Mona Lisa currently. Can we get like a pog in the chat for once you've got that gray rectangle showing up? Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Yeah, nice. Cool. And nice. Getting some beautiful art showing up for people, I guess. That being said, though, this is definitely beginner artwork. We can do better than this. So, Claire, do you want to show us off how to turn this blank slate into some modern art?
At function draw. So before we'll talk a little bit more about what these function draws are, but at the moment, inside this draw function, add these three lines: background, ellipse, and ellipse. So these are kind of defining what we're going to draw initially. And trust me, it'll look actually pretty cool with just 3 lines of code. Peach Puff is actually a color, surprisingly, and it is one of my favorite colors to use in generative art. It looks so classy. And then ellipses, well, they're just drawing circles, and we'll go over some shapes in a bit.
Love that Peach Puff is a color. Like,
Yeah,
who thought of that?
I don't know. Like CSS colors have some interesting names. I think there's also like Rebecca Purple, and
But who is Rebecca?
I don't know, but Rebecca Purple. I think it's like a tribute to someone. Oh, thanks to whoever sent the 3 lines, the code in the chat. Awesome. I guess we could go on to the next slide. That looks
Fabulous.
on point. It looks fabulous. So Peach Puff, as you can tell, looks really nice. This is art, I have to say. And if you want to look for some other colors, you could go to colors.neilorangepeel.com. Yes, this person's probably British, but yeah. So this is a list of a bunch of different CSS color names that you can use. Of course, you could also use like RGB and hex codes, and we'll go over colors later. Next slide.
So going back a little bit into the theory of this stuff, we'll get to the code soon again, but you probably remember there were kind of those 2 functions in there. You had a setup function and a draw function. This stuff isn't naturally part of JavaScript, but it's given by P5, the library we're using. And basically, the setup function is used for anything that we want to do one time at the beginning. So this like lets us create a canvas and maybe provide some defaults. And then the draw function, any gamers out there might be familiar with this. This is the thing that runs like 60 times a second to print stuff to your screen. And you can actually change the number of times it's printing with the frame rate function. So, oh, yeah.
So now let's talk about some shapes, geometry. Luckily, you really only need 4 shapes to make something for today. There's lines, there's ellipses, there's rectangles, and triangles. They're actually pretty straightforward. So if you take a look at the line, you notice that you just have a start point and an end point. So if you remember a coordinate plane, you have the start coordinate and the end coordinate. And the same goes for ellipse. You put in the center coordinate, and then you put in the width and the height. But say you wanted the circle. If you wanted to put in a circle, you can make the width and height the same values, or you could just put in one number. It'll work either way. So for example, if I wanted to make an ellipse that's like a small ellipse, I'll put in 1, 1 as a center, and I'll put in 3 as a radius. Boom, you have a circle. We also have a square, which draws a rectangle. So rect, it does x coordinate, y coordinate, and width and height. So you put in the center and you put in how you want the width and height to look like. And finally, we have a triangle, my favorite shape. It's like literally the best. You put in all the 3 coordinates of the sides and boom, you got it. It's a triangle. So you might want to take a screenshot of this or just like keep this in mind when we do the rest of the workshop today.
Being said, for anyone who forgets what one of these numbers does, honestly, I just start like changing the numbers and seeing how it changes the art. A quick suggestion for anyone who's using that editor, right next to the play button, there should be like an auto run checkbox. I recommend hitting it, and that'll let it live update when you change code. Sorry, go ahead. Next slide. Yeah.
Oh.
So actually, here's a quick question for anyone in the audience. If we have a line 0, 0, 400, 400. Oh, I guess we say, sorry, I was about to ask where the line goes. I guess we say here. Well, this always confused me, but yeah, so you can easily see how this line will draw from the top left of the grid to the bottom right of the grid. Now, why it goes from 0 at the top left, I'll defer that to Claire. Claire, do you know why?
So actually, I think it would be really interesting to have people send it in chat. Oh no, trying to do a triangle is about. So don't worry about it. We'll be drawing more triangles, but triangles, just a reminder, you just do the different coordinates. So if I wanted to do like a normal triangle, I'll do 1, 1, 1, 3, 2, 5.
I'm just hearing numbers right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm saying numbers. I don't know what I'm saying, but yeah, that draws a triangle. Or like you can put in anything you want. Anyways, if you want, you can send in chat like a guess why you think the canvas is set up like this instead of the way you guys learned in class. Or I don't know, my teacher taught me like Cartesian coordinates. I think that's what it's called. Why is it like this? And it does seem a little bit annoying.
While we wait for that, what's your favorite coordinate system, Claire?
Cartesian coordinates actually, because when we were learning like those like circle ones and cylinder ones and sphere ones, like spherical, those are so confusing. I still like the good old Cartesian coordinates. Yeah. What about you?
Cartesian's pretty great. I feel like it's a good classic, but polar is amazing. Primarily because I play a lot of space games like Kerbal Space Program, and polar is very important when you're in orbit.
Yeah, polar coordinates are pretty fun. I guess it's like the spherical coordinates that are really just annoying. So yeah, anyways, has anyone made any guesses? Oh my gosh, someone got it on the first try.
Nice.
IZ Panda, that is amazing. That is exactly why I think. Okay, so the thing is, to be honest, I don't think anyone has actually explicitly written down why, but that's like the consensus, according to like me.
Consensus of 1. I accept it.
Thanks.
Cool.
Now it is 2. Okay. All right. And can we go on to the next slide? That line of code that told us to draw a line. And it did exactly what we wanted it to do. It drew a line from 0, 0 to 400, 400. And it created a canvas. This looks amazing. This is a straighter line than like I've ever drawn in my entire life. It's pretty. This is good. Like this is very modern art.
Hang that up and put it in the MoMA.
Yeah, you can put it in the MoMA. I don't know if you've been to the MoMA, but it's like I think I've seen art like this in the MoMA. I think. Yeah, it's been a while. But I also have to admit, it is a little bit kind of boring. Maybe we could add a little spice to it. So if we go to the next slide.
Yeah, the spice of life, randomness. So for this, obviously we mentioned before, there's a random component to art. What we're going to be doing as part of this is every time you generate your art, it's going to create new art. And how we do that is using random. Random is a method that's built into P5 that will give you a random value between 0 and 1. So maybe that's 0.1, maybe that's 0.9, maybe that's 0.1237 repeating. There's lots of numbers that could go there, but it's got to be between 0 and 1. So, for example, if we wanted to, like, how do we use this? If we wanted it to sometimes generate a line going one way and sometimes generate a line going the other way, we can have a conditional. That's like if. If the number is higher than 0.5, do one thing, and if it's lower, do something else. So you can see an example of that on the next slide.
And random is insanely powerful. Sorry for cutting in, but like the saying goes, life is like a box of chocolates. Open it, you don't know what you're gonna get. Also, this is something I've learned in biology, but essentially all of human processes are stochastic, which means that it's completely random. Like no one's actually like pushing it somewhere. It just randomly moves around. It's like, oh hi. They combine and boom, it's a new molecule. It's crazy. I don't know how biology works like that. But anyways, go ahead.
Maybe the universe, the simulation is just running random.
Yes, I think the whoever is supposed to be running it kind of fell asleep.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and head to the next slide, and we can actually start using this thing. So we've got some code for you to try out yourself if you want. Basically, there's a couple of new lines to be mindful of. So we just talked about using random. So if you look into the draw function, you'll see if random is greater than 0.5, draw a line one way. And then else, if it's not greater than 0.5, draw a line in a different direction. In addition to that, though, we've also added something up in the setup function, and we'll stop here for a little bit, so don't worry if you're frantically typing right now. You'll see a no loop method, and that'll make it so you know how I said the draw function runs 60 times a second? You can tell it to not run repeatedly. If it did run repeatedly, we'd have a random line every 60 times a second, and that'd be way too fast. We'd have a one-dimensional dance rave going on in our art, and we want to slow that down a little bit. So now with this code, every time you hit run, you'll either get a line going diagonally from top left to bottom right, or a line the other way from top right to bottom left.
It just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a line dance, I think. That's what they call it.
It's interpretive dance. So yeah, feel free to run it. And you might find yourself a little bit dizzy, or maybe you just see two lines at the same time.
Yeah. Or yeah, bonus credit if you run it without the no loop in there, because that'll make it really go crazy.
Take a bit to type this in. You'll let us know if you're done.
Okay, so before we go on to the next line, I wanted to say we're gonna start drawing lots of lines on the page. So go ahead and write code to make 50 lines on the page. You know how we did that line function? Go ahead and make 50 of those. And then I'll let Claire, do you want to talk about the alternative to that?
So if you're like me when I first started and just Control C, Control V, like all the lines, and I just manually added one on each, you know what? I admire the tenacity. But if you go to the next slide, you'll see a little hack for it. It's called it's called for loop. And what a for loop does is for 10 minutes or for 10 times, do the same thing over and over again. That basically tells the computer, for example, in this example, we see that we start from 0 to 100 and we do something. So we do it 4 times because we add 100 to it. So the way it works is we have count equals 0. So that's a variable. We add 100 to it every single time we do something. So you can imagine it's like a point system, right? I'm supposed to be doing read 4 books. And every single time I read a book, my knowledge increases by 100. You know, my knowledge points, XP. And then I keep doing until it becomes not less than 400. So if I gain 400 XP, I have to stop. I can't read too much. I'm going to be too powerful. And so that's what a for loop does. And so if you wanted to draw 50 lines, well, then you could have it do from 0 to 50 and just add 1 each time. And boom, I've drawn 50 lines like 50 times. Wait, I've drawn 1 line 50 times. Yeah. So if we go to the next slide, we can see it in action.
So on this slide, we'll be using this example for a little bit. So feel free to type this out if you want. But basically, we create this variable called x, and then we say we're going to loop until x reaches 400, and each time we loop, we're going to add 50 to it. And then we got these beautiful, beautiful straight lines, nice and parallel.
Sure, yeah.
And hey, there we go. And then on top of that, we can also use x itself while we're creating these lines. So you'll see how instead of putting a number in the line method, now we can put x directly in the line method. And that x value, whatever x is at the time, will be used. That said, not quite random, so we're gonna mix it up a little, make it nice and pretty.
So if we go to the next slide, let's make it look a little bit cooler. So before we quite do that, I just want to make sure that you still kind of understand what exactly we're doing here. So we're trying to draw a bunch of lines in a row or in columns. And if you look at this, we can set a variable called step. And for what steps does, it means it's like the gap between the lines, right? Because when you want a striped shirt, you don't want it to be like huge gaps, right? You just have like 2 stripes and you've been ripped off. So you want to define how the gap between the lines. And then you want to set the line's thickness. So you also don't want an entire white shirt with random black lines all around the place. I mean, that's probably fashionable, but like that's not what we're looking for right now. And finally, we want to draw the line, which is obvious. And in this case, we're having the line start at a horizontal position, so there, and it ends at a place that is not exactly the same x or y value. So we can see that it spans the entire width of our canvas, which is 400 pixels. But it does go down a little bit, right? We have a little step down. So I wonder what that step looks like. So if we go to the next slide, you can see it. And it looks really cool. Whoa, that looks so cool.
Wow.
And as you can tell, it does exactly what we want it to be.
It's so slanty.
Yeah, it's so slanty. And it's like kind of weird because both ways it looks just a little bit different from what you expect. And yeah, so if you want, you could run this code, put it on a t-shirt, sell it on Etsy. I don't know. Look fashionable. I don't know. But right. So let's try some other things we could do with for loops and steps. So if you go to the next slide.
Oh, we can make them more slanty. Yes.
Make it more slanty and also a little bit more thinner. So maybe you want something that just goes in the midway, not on the sides. Because show as much peach puff color as you want.
What question for chat? What does this art currently make you think of or inspire you?
Curious. Where can you imagine this picture showing up?
Oh, I missed yours, Sarah. Blinds in the morning. Nice.
Ooh. Yeah, blinds in the morning. For me, I kind of imagine this on like a perfume or a makeup company. I don't know why, but that color, black and peach puff combination, it's amazing. The manes of the teal horse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I can't believe I didn't see that before. That's great. Okay. Well, now that we've gone through that example, is it cool if can I go deeper? Can we get more loops? Go ahead and head to the next slide. And this is a moment I'm very excited for. Yeah, we put loops in our loops. So previously what we've done, we had a bunch of lines and they were kind of going like 1, 2, 3, 4. But now we're creating a grid of something. And a grid has like an X value that increments and a Y value that increments. So now what this will do is it'll create incrementing on the, well, I already said it. Let's just go to an example. Do you want to show off how this code works, Claire?
Next slide. You'll see that we have 2 for loops. No. Wait, go back. Okay, wait, no one saw that. So we saw that 2 for loops. And looking at the 2 for loops, we're drawing a line inside of for loop. So we're drawing like 50 lines. Wait, yeah, we're drawing 400 lines, the stroke weight of 3. Yeah, so I'm not going to go any more deeper. Guess what this looks like.
Oh, I don't think we've talked about stroke weight yet. What's that mean? I'm curious.
It's a thickness of the line. So, for example, you have like a marker, then it'll be thicker. So it just makes things look thinner and thicker. It could be from 0 to as higher number as you want. It's by pixel. So if you have like a 0.5, it's really thin. It's like 0.5 lead, which was a currency in elementary school for me. If you had a 0.5 lead, you were the coolest kid in class. 0.5.
They gave you kids lead?
Like pencil lead. Not lead
okay.
as in like, the thing you have in water. The thing you shouldn't have in water. Wait. The thing you shouldn't have in water. Don't drink lead. It's bad for you. Yeah, graphite.
Graphite. Yeah, that's it. Who puts lead in their pencils? Thank you, Sarah.
All right, so can anyone guess what this, what if we run this, what happens? Please, make as many guesses as you want. I want this to be wild.
There's no wrong answer. Actually, there are wrong answers, but I got this wrong the first time, so there's no shame.
I don't think anyone has ever gotten this right when I told them to guess.
Well, looks like we're not getting any. I hear crickets.
I guess y'all just stumped. My puzzle is too great. I shall be puzzle master.
Oh, wait a second. Someone got it on their first try.
Wow, I guess my puzzle is broken. I'm now no longer puzzle master. But yes, it is purely a black canvas. Because if you look at the code, it is a stroke weight of 3, but we're only jumping by 1. So you're gonna have lines on top of each other. And actually, this is just a hack. If you want to run code like that, you don't even need to like run it. Just get a box and color it black. Easy peasy.
Ooh, that's smart. Life hacks.
Yeah, life hacks. Oh yeah, thanks for if you saw it. But yeah, Brandon, that was claps to you. All right, next slide.
Yeah. So now let's make this look actually like art. Because black boxes are fun and all, and if you're in a modern enough museum, I guess you could get away with that. But I don't know. For me, I like some more texture in my art. So we're gonna play around with some of the values here, and you'll see in the draw function we have var step equals 30. So what we're going to be doing here is instead of drawing a new line every single pixel, we're going to take steps of 30, and then on each step, we're going to draw a new line. And steps. Yeah, so if you type this in correctly, you should get something that looks a bit similar to the thing on the left there for you. Starting to look, it's still very much modern art, but we'll get to the point that it could pass for something else soon.
Magnetic fillings, like those things at like science museums where they have a magnet and then fillings. Wait, no, this reminds me.
Magnets are the best.
Physics. I'm sorry to bring up physics, but this reminds me of like vector fields. That's what it's called. Yeah. I don't know. I've done enough vector fields. It's just different arrows pointing at different directions. I feel like you can you can imagine.
I feel like this has to do with like the right-hand rule and stuff.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
No opposable thumbs.
Well, I guess you're just not, with 3 fingers, it's a little hard to do the right-hand rule or the left-hand rule.
Well.
All right, so if you want, feel free to type this in. If not, we'll be looking at some cooler things, but it's really great if you type this in because we're gonna make some really, really cool things. All right. So
yeah.
go to the next. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Go for it.
All right. So now let's make it. This is my favorite art. Okay. Now let's change the stroke weight too. I mean, this is not paper. We can change the weight of our pencils. And so we can have every single time as we get closer to the bottom right corner of the canvas, bottom right, yeah, then we make the pencil thicker. But we still draw lines, but we draw two lines. One with the gap design that we had before, and then one like the diagonal lines we originally drew. So you have two lines on top of each other. I wonder what that makes. If we go to the next slide.
Yeah.
Or a beehive. Or I don't know. Just look at it farther enough. This is my favorite. Okay, this looks so cool. It also makes me hungry because I really, really want sausage links. Yeah, that is like insanely cool. You just have gaps on top of each other, and also looks
What
like.
does this look like to you? So you said sausages. To me, it's like those. What are those pond things? Cattails? What's it called?
You know those things like like people like in the movies they jump into the pond and they put something in their mouth and breathe and pretend they're not there.
Yes, that thing.
Yes, that thing. Yeah, cattails. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah,
Oh,
they're
you've seen
super
them in
fluffy in
tattoos?
person.
Yeah. Oh, I've never actually. Oh, really?
Wow, that'd be
Okay.
a crazy tattoo.
That feels really cool. Corn dogs, yes. Oh my gosh, imagine that many corn dogs. Oh, a kebab. Oh my gosh, the stores that sell these just like really cool. Bunch of Tic
Awesome.
Tacs. Oh, I love Tic Tacs.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
Yeah, I
gosh.
can see Tic Tacs.
Yeah, Tic Tacs. I can see that on a string, like a little necklace. Oh, and if you want to rotate it 45 degrees, you could definitely do that. If you go back, you could change the step to be less. So we made the step really tall. You get really tall, really large. You can make it less and less and less. I want corn dogs too. Let's get corn dogs together after this. Okay, now we've spent enough time admiring this piece of art. Let's keep going. All right, now let's actually go into some random stuff. So this maze was actually randomly generated. I did not draw this, nor did I know this would be drawn. Instead, we used the random function. So you remember how we were going to get the computer to draw a left or right line? We're making it do exactly the same thing, but in this case, it's not just one line, but like this is 30 lines.
Lots of lines, yeah.
Lots of lines, yeah.
Whatever
so in this case,
400 divided by 30 is, but I have 3 fingers on
4.
each hand and I cannot count that high.
It's like 13 point something. Okay. So if you look at this, we can say that we have, everything we've talked about so far. There's embedded for loops. Wow. And then there's also an if and else statement. So for the if and else statement, we're telling it to either start from this point and do a step, or start from the step and go down. Pretty cool. And then we keep the stroke weight as 3. You can obviously change that. And we also have it to draw about 400 divided by 30 lines, and we made a maze. This is so cool. So feel free to copy this in and edit it, change it however you want. You can make the canvas larger, you can make the lines change thickness as added a obstacle, whatever you want.
As a quick reminder, though, for anyone who's feeling intimidated by the number of things to type here, we will be posting these slides online. So if you don't get something in before we change slides, you can feel free to keep typing, or you can stick with us and you'll get these resources later.
Sending some of links of our own P5 stuff for you to take a look in the editor. All right, I guess we can go to the next slide.
Let's spice it up. Yeah. Oh, yeah. color. This is my favorite. So we have lots of ways to do color in P5. And some are a little bit easier, some are a little bit more complex, but this is like the basic way of doing it. So we've got this color function, and it takes all these different sorts of things in there. But by default, it takes an RGB value. I'm hoping everyone has heard the term RGB before, but it's totally cool if you don't know what it's for. While I'm talking, quick question, chat. RGB, what does it stand for? Wrong answers only. So in all for realsies though, RGB is red, green, blue. And so right here, we're making a color with a 255 red, 204 green, and 0 blue. We just hate blue right now. There is no blue involved in this. So if you mix those, like that much red and that much green, it should look yellow. And then we pass that C variable, which is the color, into fill. And then we make a rectangle. So if you go to the next slide, let's see what color it is. Drum roll, please. Yeah, it's yellow. Cool. Color method also takes a bunch of other inputs. So if you go to the next slide, you can see, oh, hey, we could just pass in magenta, which comes straight from that that website we linked already with the list of all the different colors. I can't pronounce that very British-like. With all the different CSS colors. So anyone have a guess on what color this makes? Drum roll,
It's
please.
really hard. I don't think anyone can guess it right.
Not yellow. That's correct. Good job for everyone in chat who got that. I've only really played with these colors though, so Claire, I think you've got a couple of other ways of doing colors, right?
You could do this, you could do hex. So I don't know if you've heard of hex, but hex is also a way you could add in colors, which is using, it's a different scheme and it's also a little bit more complex, but it's essentially the same idea as RGB, but also adds a little bit of, spice, have like opacity. You can make it a little bit transparent or a little bit less transparent. And really that's like all you need with color. And if you find it hard to find a color, you could use just Google color picker, and Google has a built-in color picker, and it's actually my favorite thing. Or you could try something else, like the link that we sent.
If anyone wants to post their favorite colors in the chat, I already see one from Fuchsia Hex. I haven't looked, but I'm gonna assume what that color is based on the name. Oh, it's pronounced floof. Oh, wow, that's my new favorite color. I love that. Claire, how do you end up with that? Oh, that's a good gold. Is that a gold?
Yeah, so it's actually this color on my shirt. The yellow. It's my favorite yellow. It's so amazing. Yeah, I know the hex colors of yeah.
Nice.
Oh, cool. Floof is fuchsia. Like that's the name of it.
That's really good.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Cool. Okay. Let's hop on to the next slide. And oh, I think these were the yeah. If anyone's familiar with CSS colors, I won't spend too much time on this, but you can just pass in the CSS color in a string like this. But let's go ahead and go to the next slide. And for anyone who wants to get this link down, honestly, as Claire was saying, you could just Google like color hex or color hex picker or something like that. But you can also go here if you want to, if you're too lazy for that. And let's hop on to the next example. Oh, I love this one.
Yeah, so this is as we like to call it, squirsh, because of the lane. So this is basically a bunch of squares that we draw on a different colored background. As you can see, there's graduated a bit from Peach Puff. And in this case, we see that we have we can draw a bunch of random squares, but there's this function called rotate, and what it does is it rotates the square, and we make it rotate it randomly at a different value. And so we have every single time you run this, you would have a different array of grids of squares, and they look different each time. This could be like a roller coaster. No, like a ride at an amusement park. Everyone just keeps spinning. And if you get rid of no loop, you'll have spinning squares.
Is this like the more dangerous version of the flying teacups at Disneyland?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Future Hacks. Yeah. So just make sure that in JavaScript itself, colors is not spelled with a U. It's just the reference link that we were sending has U in it. And by the way, if you wanted to, feel free to check out the code for this at hack.af/sprex. Oh, Sprex. Wait, yeah, Sprex.
Sorry.
Oh, wait, I misspelled it. Sorry, it's not SPR. I can't type, whatever. All right, next slide.
Oh, and quick thing, but bonus points for removing the no loop from that art. It gets really cool and trippy when you have it refreshing 60 times a second. But anyways, yeah, congrats, you made it. It's hacking time. So yeah, we were kind of thinking like we've gone through a lot of examples together here, and of course, if anyone has any questions, you're free to ask them. But the way we're kind of gonna go from here on the workshop is we'll provide a couple of cool examples that you can play around with. You're free to follow along if you'd like, or if you want to go off and do your own thing, that is totally cool and available. When you do have some art that you want to share with people and show off, we ask, could you post the link or a screenshot in, I think the general channel is the, could I have someone on Liquid Hacks team verify that? We'd love if you could post the link in the Discord, and that way everyone can see your amazing art. We might even show it off here on the screen. And the general chat is good. Thank you. Cool. So here are a couple of references too, by the way. These are all coming from the P5 website, which confusingly is not p5.js. It's p5js.org. I wish we had changed that title in hindsight. Yeah, Claire, what do you think? Should we hop into examples right away, or should we answer questions?
Just go to the next two slides real quick, just to show a little bit of like different art that people have made.
Inspiration.
Yeah, so here's some really cool inspiration, little illusions. So if you look at the first one, we call it no eyes, because if you stare at it really closely, it looks like there's
look at this thing for too long, or else I get mesmerized.
Yeah, mesmer. So feel free to open both of these links and kind of take a look at what you could do with this. This is not quite randomly generated, but it's pretty cool. And if you go to the next slide. So remember the checkerboard on the previous slide? Well, this is it when you fill it out. When you fill it out, it looks like, the first one looks very red, so we call it XCOM. And the second one, we call it XUIP. So what is this is someone made a bunch of code pens for this. If you open these links, you'll find someone who made all of these artwork. And you could change the colors and shapes and anything in here, and they'll look really cool. These are really great ideas for like a profile picture with like a background. I think it's really cool. It feels like you're on like a chessboard that's 3D. Though I guess it's like the wrong dimensions for a chessboard. All right, and then the last slide, next one. And this is my favorite, a triangle mesh. If you open the general chat in Discord, you could see that I've kind of really like triangle meshes. So this is a triangle mesh that I made, and if you open it up and you run it, you'll find this little cool surprise because it's gonna be like a crinkly napkin, and it'll just keep running and running and running over and over again, with random triangle like combinations.
This is
So, oh yeah,
one of my favorite. It's so cool.
really cool. There's one link you should open this workshop. It's this one. It's so cool. Like I made it. It's 3 frames per second, but you can always change the frames and make it move faster or slower. You can change You can change the colors too. Right now, I made it gray. You can make it like orange or red or anything you want. Oh, you know, I keep misspelling stuff. Ignore the link I just sent. It's actually a triangle with no S. Right. So if you want, we'll give everyone some hacking time. So if you go to the hacking slide. Oh, it's funny, hacking slide.
So, and by the way, if anyone has any questions about how to implement something or how to, why is my code not working, something like that, feel free to bring it up in the Twitch chat and we can start talking you through it. We're also, I think we'll be able to answer stuff that pops up in general questions on the Discord, but we'll see it more immediately if it's on Twitch chat. So, Claire, if you were at an art, what's that betting thing? Like I raised that. What's the name of that? An auction. Thank you. If you were at an art auction, how much would you pay for that hot dog one?
You know,
How many months of Discord Nitro?
I would pay. That's a hard decision. I would pay. Let's say 500 GP, maybe 3 months of Nitro. No, a year of Nitro. I don't need Nitro if you have art. Like, right? Like, okay, I have to say I'm guilty of just getting Nitro like today because, you know, there's some very cute blob emojis, and also like there's that like 3-month thing. But I would give 1 month of Nitro for, or not 1 month, 1 year of Nitro for that framed. Oh, I want it framed, but also on a T-shirt. I really want it on a T-shirt. Really cool.
T-shirt would be great. You could make your money back if you start selling those T-shirts.
That's my new business now. Oh wait, what if you had people like order shirts? You put in a code, and like you make them their shirt. Wait, what if you made like LED grid on your shirt, and then you connect it by USB to a computer, and you put in the code, and it displays that. So you technically always have a new shirt. That would be cool.
That would be incredible. Yeah, yeah, and then you could program it to be random. Finally, get use for that random function.
Yeah, you have different mazes. Oh, every step you take, the image changes. So people would just think like you're just changing shirts every second, like catwalk star.
Oh, if we have the time, Claire, did we want to give out those helpful links, by the way, for anyone who wanted them?
So can we go maybe like 4 slides? Forward 4. Thank you. That's all, folks. No, but wait, next slide. One after that. Yeah, there we go. here are links of things that you can check out. So if you look at the first one, those are the colors we were talking about. The second one is open processing. It's actually one of the coolest generative arts. Prophet Orpheus has responded in chat.
Hello.
Prophets.
Yeah, sorry.
Give me the red. Okay. But if you open processing, you would find the coolest examples ever. And I could please feel free to upload over the course of this hackathon or whenever any of your art onto P5 or open processing and send the link. It'd be really awesome to take a look at it. Or just like play the stuff on open processing. They're just insane. It's art from code. You don't even need like paintbrushes or Procreate. I find it really cool. And then we have like the P5 website and the cheat sheet.
Aw. Thanks, Brunero, man. We appreciate you sticking on and watching.
Meantime, do we want to show some cool examples or are we sharing our screen? Making, oh, this is some cute emojis. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask and feel free to send any examples in the chat, even if it's like sausage links again, because we all love some sausage links.
I think one of my favorite things that I did early on with P5 was I wanted to make a typing game. And one of the great things about P5, this JavaScript thing that you're doing, it'll also take in inputs. So you can use it not just for generative art, but also for gaming. And but then I very quickly realized I was really bad at typing quickly. So it turned into a typing game where if you typed, you had to type things to like use them. So like to pause, you typed in pause. To like open the settings menu, you typed in settings. And then if you were feeling overwhelmed, you just typed turret mode. And then every button you pressed fired from your ship. And so you could just keyboard bash to win the game. It was really fun to make. It was done in like 24 hours, so it's really janky. But that's just to say for anyone who is interested in playing around with P5 further than this, it's not just used for art. You can use it for making games, for making like interactive, like what's it called, music videos. Because it can also take in like audio inputs as well as typing inputs, and it can tell like when the beat to music is or things like that.
Cool.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what was the first P5 thing that you made, Claire?
First P5 like huge thing that I made was after like the triangle mesh, I made like swirly stuff. So basically you would follow your cursor and you have like a galaxy of stars. It looked like stars, like circles that would follow your cursor around. And yeah, that was my first thing and I really liked it. It's obviously not a typing game, but looked really nice. And I used this thing called Flash to make it my computer background. And so I had like my background was an open processing like view that basically ran a galaxy of stars that followed my mouse. It was really fun, but then I used too much CPU because I unfortunately do not have an M1. So, but it was really fun. It was really fun to make. All right, so I think.
Yeah, I think this is getting close to our in time in that case. But thank you again, everyone, for hopping on and following the tutorial, I'm really excited to see what people come up with P5, or just any art for this hackathon. I think it's kind of rare to see like art and design being used at a hackathon, and as someone who does both art and code myself, I'm really excited to see that stuff combined. Anyways, could we go back by one slide? And I guess the only things that's left to say is that's all for now, folks. You can grab the slide URL. Yeah. Thank you for pasting that in. You can grab the slides themselves online, and that URL. And yeah, thanks again for showing up.